Would like to call to order the Town of Carver Capital Outlay Committee. Today is January 23rd, 2024, and the time is 7:10 p.m. We should start with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'd like to thank Area 58 for recording tonight and Ashley for taking our minutes. Thank you. Looks like we have no public comment tonight. So we're here to discuss capital outlay for FY25. That's the upcoming budget. So the first thing we need to do is reorganize the board for FY25. We have not met since before July 1st of 2023, and our bylaw states we will reorganize the board after that. Anybody want to make a motion for a chairman?
I'll make a motion to renew Beth again for a chairperson for the fiscal 2025 budget season.
I second.
Thank you. Let's see. Motion made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Last year, so we're only a committee of 4. We can have 5. Do we want to do a vice chairman? We do not need one. It's up to you guys.
If you want someone as a backup, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm open to it if you,
Okay.
if you want.
Anybody?
I
Can,
nominate
yeah.
John.
Do you want to nominate?
Vice chair, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
A second.
Okay. Motion made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. The ayes
Thank you.
have it. Thank you, John. Okay, so thanks. That was our first order of business that we had to take care of. So tonight we will not have any updates from the Director of Finance or the Town Administrator. They're not here. Bob did tell me to let you know he wishes he could have been here, but he's unable to be here tonight. So we do not have any reports yet to preview, but I thought we should meet, get together, reorganize our board, and kind of discuss what we're going to do on Saturday, as well as what we're going to do going forward for capital outlay. So John's sort of hosting, I believe, on Saturday.
Sure.
The select board.
This is just more of a first pass at budget items, and the department, has anyone gone to this before? No? Okay. Fairly informal. They'll come before, we get together as a group. Usually the chairman of the Board of Selectmen runs it, but you can pretty much feel free to ask questions as things come up. They'll go over their budgets as it stands right now. We ask questions with regards to certain line items that either might have a significant increase or decrease. And then they will go into their capital plan. Sometimes there's handouts with, photos of things that they want to do and whatnot, and additional information that you can walk away with. You can feel free to ask questions about it. And typically, way before, like my time on this committee and Beth's time on this committee, I think Jack Angley, he was a member of the Board of Selectmen. I think he was the chairman. And typically what would happen is once there's an amount of money allotted to capital, we'll review the list and start making choices. But first we'll go out generally and get more information. It might be a site visit to some of the places that they want to, talking to DPW if they're ordering equipment and things like that. We can do it as a group. I'm not sure what everyone's schedule's like. And it's just better to see it versus hear about it sometimes. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, no, it doesn't need an engine, but you can sit there and just ask questions that if you have any concerns. And then we go into our series of meetings to try to get an understanding as to what we'll recommend to the Board of Selectmen town meeting.
Yeah, so it is all day. There's already a schedule. I believe I sent it out to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get there, we're going to get a packet. So everybody's going to get a packet. We'll have the schedule, and then we'll should have a copy of the budget for finance for each line item, as well as a capital outlay. Hopefully, the reports we get will have actual spend and budget, so we can make sure that it aligns. I don't know what the reports are going to look like. They did go to a new software system this year.
There have been challenges going from SoftWrite to Vadar and bringing over data. So I know the schedules right now, they're comparing 24 fiscal versus 25, but we have asked for comparison against actuals.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see what they have, but we will get, we always get a nice package from the fire department. They have a nice colored copy, it's gonna show everything that they want to purchase this year, might have some stuff for the future. I think sometimes it has what they had purchased during the year that we're in. Another nice package we sometimes get is the EMS department. They just print some nice packages with pictures, so it's nice to put a picture next to what is the fire truck gonna look like, what would the ladder truck look like, or anything else that they may be looking to purchase.
And they typically do I think if they're gonna continue a 10-year capital schedule, so, they don't just try to look at what's happening next year, because sometimes you look at what's happening next year and you can't afford it.
Right.
So you start sliding it out, so.
Did bring this. Just, if you want me to pass this around, I brought this, which is the town warrant from last year, just so you can see what the final schedule had looked like and how it's color coded, and you can see how, I'll pass it to you guys, how it has like each year going out for 10 years.
Okay.
On the sides, can tell you if it's O&M. I suppose say if it's fire, if it's the North Carver Water District, but just so you can get a feel of what the report might look like on
Okay.
Saturday. I'm hoping we see that on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's what it looks like. So the other thing too, so this is sort of late in the game, the same as last year also. So there probably will be quite a few meetings coming up between February and March to get ready for the town meeting. Is there a certain night of the week that's better for everybody?
It kind of varies week to week.
Okay. I did try to put together like that text. Did everybody get my text group?
Yeah.
Did you get it, John?
I saw comments, yes, on Saturday's meeting, but I didn't see anything out there with the request for future meetings. Is that what you're talking about, or no?
No. I just sort of just said like, this is a text group, is it?
Oh, okay.
I just thought, sometimes I don't check my Carver, like, I have an email just by Carver. Sometimes I don't check it all day long, so I didn't know if a text group was
Sure.
easier for
Yeah.
people to say I can or
Yeah.
can't make it tonight.
That's helpful.
We won't talk about anything for capital outlay, but just,
Schedule.
yeah, schedule. Can you, if you can't make it, that might be the quickest way to say,
Okay.
I can't come tonight. The other thing we did last year, which kind of worked out nice, and I think it was nicer for, well, myself and some of the town departments, was we met a few times joint meetings with finance committee. Is anyone open to that?
Sure.
John, okay. The nice thing with that is that the department head only has to come in once. So if they can present finance committee, their operating budget as well as their capital in one night, I think that's a little bit easier for them. But if you guys have a lot of questions and you want separate meetings, we can keep those separate.
Okay.
Yeah, the window is pretty much, we're supposed to have a full budget and capital provided to taxpayers a month before town meeting. I think town meeting is what, April 9th or 10th?
April 9th.
So that's really the window we're looking at. So hopefully it won't be like, tremendous amount of, meetings, but it doesn't go on for a long time.
Okay. I'll be open.
Okay,
Yeah, it's fine.
all right. So April 9th, make sure you put that in your calendar.
It's
That's
there.
town meeting. Okay, I have mine myself blocked off too.
Yeah.
The one thing I like to have before we dive into everything is to know what the revenue is, so that we know how much we have to approve. So without knowing what that's gonna be, it's kinda hard to say, yes, everybody's gonna get their capital items. John, do you know if that number is gonna come on Saturday?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, good.
I've seen, there's a revenue number that I don't think it's going to change. That's why I don't wanna throw it out there, but they're reviewing, and again, it's a pretty significant job to try to get it all done with, obviously not having a finance director and a part-time finance director who's very experienced.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we should have a revenue number by then, but typically what happens is, the whole idea about funding capital, was, I can go back in the old days, and that was, you basically paid all your bills, paid your salaries, paid all your department expenses, and if you had money left over, basically it's called free cash. There's sometimes items get added to free cash, like if you sell property or things like that, but there's a number. That's typically a number you would use for your one-time purchases of capital. Any of your reoccurring leases and things like that, that's something you have to use earned money for, because that's scheduled. But if it's a one-time purchase of a loader or something like that, you'd use free cash. What we decided, one of our policies in our financial policies schedule was to take any money coming from solar and to keep it out of the operating budget. You would take solar and divide it into three components. 1/3 went to capital, so you always knew you had something for capital no matter what happened with revenue. 1/3 would go into OPEB just to pay down health insurance liabilities, because the state requires us to, they put that rule in, I'm not sure if it's 5 or 10 years ago, but we're following that. And the third was to put money aside. Now, town meeting voted on this, and that was to put 1/3 of it aside for the middle high school. I don't know if it's called the roof or some kind of capital for the middle high school. So, so that money should be sitting there for capital. And then the big question is, what's free cash? And you typically take your free cash and you might put some of that money aside for the money articles that happen that get approved at town meeting. And then a certain segment goes right into us for capital.
So this, I brought this because I love this schedule, so I'll just pass it around so you can kind of see it. It's old, it's probably not what we're gonna get this year, but you can, by just looking at this, you can see the math of how they're getting there, so if you guys are curious. But it's gonna tell you, you know, projected revenue at the top, expenses to be done before the line, before the split. It has some more detail, but the very last page, after you go through everything, it used to tell us what's the remaining balance for capital to spend.
Okay.
Just so you have an idea of like how the math actually works.
I'm wondering if I have a copy of this, a soft copy.
Yeah, so that one's from '23. I think it was done in it was for '22 and '23, so we didn't get one last year.
No.
But it's just a nice version of how we get down to that bottom line. Hopefully we get something similar this year.
Okay.
Last year also, in the bylaw, we went from $10,000 threshold to $20,000 threshold. So anything under 20,000, we're not going to look at. Those can
Okay.
be operating expenses.
Okay.
And it does say in the warrant too about what is and isn't capital, just so you know. That's in the bylaw, so anything that's tangible, has a life, something you would depreciate, could be even software. So we should see a software expense if it comes. It could be an asset as far as a building, a car, anything tangible. It could be also bulk items, so maybe we're doing a huge purchase of laptops, and maybe each laptop's only $1,000, but in total they're over 20,000, that would be considered capital.
Sometimes there was some confusion, like if someone had a purchase over $10,000, they'd call it capital, when it might be for $11,000 worth of pens, but it's really not, you know, so.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand.
Thank you guys so much for joining. It's gonna be fun. So I think after Saturday's meeting, we'll have a better idea of when we'll set up the meetings with the department heads.
Okay.
Yeah.
We definitely need the revenue sheet first, see how much we want, then we're gonna see what their items are that they're asking, and we have to make sure that we can try to fit all those items in, or at least what we can.
And I'm not sure that you brought up earlier about a day during the week that
Yeah.
is, do you wanna pick a day that we think we can, you know, schedule for, and then if schedules change, we
Yeah.
change at that time?
Do Wednesdays work?
As long as it's not during, well, it won't be the same time as, conservation, thank you.
Yeah.
Their schedule has gotten a little wonky this year, so
Okay.
I would just make sure you know it's not consistent.
Sure.
Usually the first
Because
and
my
the third.
husband's on that too, and she's on it, so.
Okay.
As long as, I like Wednesdays,
So
but I can't
if
be on
there's
that
no
day.
Conservation, okay.
I can,
Yeah.
actually, Jill should have the updated schedule for conservation, so you should be able to see
Okay.
the dates.
Sure. I usually check out the website to see if anybody has the room.
I just
We
don't
can
know
look
if
at
it's-
that too. Okay, so we
Thursdays
can,
for me also are okay.
I can do
Yeah,
Thursdays.
I just can't do Tuesdays, but.
I can't do Tuesdays.
Yeah,
Perfect.
probably stay away from Tuesdays.
Yeah,
And Mondays, please no.
okay. So, well, Finance Committee, just so you know, is usually Monday nights.
Yeah.
But
school
during the
committee.
budget season, it could be other nights as well. But they typically meet Mondays at 7.
And I meet Monday at 7 too.
Do, okay. All right, so we'll may not be doing joint meetings then.
Well, unless it's
Great.
not it's twice a month, so maybe I might be able to.
Okay. So we'll send
Just
out
don't on the
messages.
school committee, just stay off those days, I guess, we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not sure, is it something like the first and third for finance committee? Is the school committee first and third too, or is that
It's like
second?
the second and last,
Oh, so it might
Okay,
work
so
out.
we might be okay, I
Yeah,
hope.
okay. They don't have any planned yet, so I'll let everybody know as they're getting planned too.
Okay.
It's just
Sounds good.
sometimes easier if Chief Weston's coming in for the fire department. Sometimes it's easier to hear the whole story and do the vote right there when he's doing finance committee and capital. But that's up to you guys too.
Yep.
If you're not interested in finance committee, we'll keep them separate.
I'm fine either way. I just can't do Tuesdays.
Sure.
Otherwise, I'm open.
Okay. And when we do that, we open up our meeting. So like we would sit on one side, finance would be the rest of the table. We would open up our meeting, they open up their meeting, we vote separate, and then we close each meeting.
Okay.
Just so you know, it's like 2 meetings being held at one,
Separate votes.
separate votes. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, and I did bring one more thing if you want to look at it. They've never passed these into me. This is only my my third fiscal year doing this. But this is how they fill out for capital requests and send them into the finance department here, if you want to see them. I had those. So you can, just so you can see on paper what they're asking for. Yeah, so they would fill this out, and then this is what they're gonna turn in when they wanna ask for something, just so you know how it works.
Yeah.
And hopefully there was a tremendous amount of aid that came in through the ARPA funds, American Reinvestment Act or something, that a lot of capital was earmarked for that. So the idea was, let's take advantage of it so we don't have to use future capital monies for that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So Saturday, do you guys have I wanna say it starts at 8,
I saw 8:30.
yeah, 8:30.
Yeah.
And it starts on time, just so you guys know, because that schedule will tell you there's somebody like every 20 minutes.
Mhm.
and sometimes somebody goes 5 minutes over, sometimes somebody's 5 minutes under it. But again, don't feel rushed. If you got questions, ask questions.
Yeah. Yep, and we'll all, last year they sat like in a big square, so we'll all be sitting together, but there'll be the select board, finance committee, capital outlay. I don't know who else went. Was that might have been all the committees that went?
I know the interim finance director is gonna be there as well, so.
Okay.
The idea is not to go away saying, let me ask someone to get back to you on that. It's anybody that's
Yeah.
there should be able to answer the questions that come up.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
and
makes
Bob
sense.
should be there too.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll all sit together. So they will go through different budgets. I asked Elaine Weston about the capital outlay budget. I think they missed that last year. Our little committee only has one line item, and that's stipends. So that could be on there.
Okay.
And for some reason, I think it got missed either last year or the year before. But it's very small. They'll pick it up at finance committee too. But in case you're wondering why capital outlay may have a budget that's talked about, that's what it is. It's the stipends.
Got it.
Are we able to ask for prioritized wish lists?
Yes.
So how do we do that now? Is that
I
something
don't
you
know.
do on the day?
We would probably not do that Saturday,
Be
but when we
in the
meet with the
future.
department heads, yeah. We need to know what the revenue is, and then we need to know how much all of their requests equal. So if the revenue is only 2 million that we can spend in the request of 4 million, we're gonna ask them to narrow this down to a wish list.
Okay.
Yeah, and typically, I mean, since I've been on it, I heard horror stories in the day when there wasn't much money floating around that there could be like a lot of people looking for the same funds. But generally, since my time on the finance committee, these guys work together. If someone turns around and says, they have a discussion internally, fire really needs it this year, DBW, can you do yours next year?
Yeah.
So they're really good about it.
Yeah, and I think if you read the warrant at all, or if you remember last year, there was some bonding involved last year, but what we brought to town meeting were 3 different scenarios.
Yeah.
And the department heads were very helpful with that. Scenario 1 was everything that they wanted, but then it stepped down to, okay, I guess we could wait on this, it's not as much of a priority, and the same with the third bucket. We were able to get everybody what they wanted because we did do the bonding.
And I've asked for this, and this came up last year, where every article that I guess gets voted on a town meeting, right? You finish town meeting, say in April, and you vote and you approve these articles. Think of them, they go over it into some kind of account someplace until you get ready to go and do them, whether it's school buses, whether it's anything that gets done. So what we found out is at last year, that there were a lot of articles that were old, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old,
Yeah.
that had balances still sitting.
Right.
So we went through and started cleaning those out. And I know that Mark Townsend, the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, said we have to do a thorough review every single year of that and not be sitting here struggling. We find out we've got a project already done that has significant money in it. So I've asked for that to get that to us.
So we don't have that yet, right?
No.
So that's a number that we'll get? That
So we'll get a
potentially-
report, and I almost brought it, but I didn't. So it's a report, like a big trial balance, and then in it will have like, fire truck, 2017, I'm just making this up, this
Yep.
is not real. Fire truck, 2017, $1,000 left. And so you know that they bought it, there was some money left, it had to be closed out.
So where do you, it's probably different for every fund, so all that money will go somewhere. And is that for us to try and figure out?
No, typically what would happen is, if you've got money left over, we could turn around and say, you add them all up and it's $100,000. We might turn around and say, we want to apply that against these other projects, but then we have to bring that to town meeting, and town meeting eventually
They
make
have to
the
approve.
final decision.
So we need that to be finished,
Yeah.
so for town meeting.
Yes. Soon we need that.
And we
Yes.
closed quite a few last year.
Yep.
So I don't know how many would be left, but we did close a lot
Mhm.
last year. Yeah, and some might not have a lot of money, could be a few $100s, could be more than that.
Mhm.
Or it could be something they never bought.
Right. The need changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was one that's energy efficiency something description that was a flat number, and it was, at the time, they're gonna try to save money, right? And it might be a project they do in one building versus another building, so if they don't spend that $100,000, it should now come back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's good.
So I wish we had numbers to look at tonight, but we don't. So hopefully,
Good news is we'll have them on Saturday.
yes, we'll have them Saturday. So we can meet after that. How about if I send out an email after Saturday to everybody?
Yeah.
We can try to figure out who we want to meet with first.
Yeah.
Usually we would try to do fire, police, EMS one night, just one meeting.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And then some of the department heads don't ask for capital, so we don't have to meet with them. And we'll know after Saturday who's asking and who's not asking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah. All right, so any other questions?
Not me.
Not for now.
No?
Motion to
I'm sure I
adjourn?
will.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, guys.